Hi, everybody. This is Craig Johnson. Here's a little literary story. In the 19th century, short stories and novels often got published in magazines that came out in kind of monthly installments usually. And especially if you were doing a novel, then you would have different sections of your novel would come out in sequential issues of the magazine. So the goal for authors of that time period was to get this kind of commission. Then they could make a lot of money then. And then after that, if it was successful, then the book could come out in a collection of stories, or it could come out as the full novel in regular book form. So it's 1889, and J.M. Stoddard is the editor of a really successful American literary magazine called Lippincott's. And they were a great way, obviously, for authors to make a lot of money then, too. And Lippincott's was thinking they wanted to move into the British market. And the way to do that, J.M. Stoddard thought, was that he should go to England to meet some of the hot young British authors and to see who he connected with and give them a good commission then. So he heads off to London. He checks in at Langham's Hotel, very posh hotel, arranges for this private dinner party with all of these young authors right there, and sends out invitations. Well, one of the people who received an invitation was a guy named Arthur Conan Doyle. And Arthur Conan Doyle was actually a doctor at that time. He was really struggling financially. My favorite story about that is, his first sort of doctor's practice and house where he lived in. He rented the house, but he was only able to furnish the first 2 rooms. The rest of the house was pretty much empty because he didn't have any money. So by this time, he had published a little bit and he had a young family, but he was really at that point of trying to decide whether or not he could become a writer or whether he should just dedicate himself to being a doctor. He was a very socially awkward, very stolid, kind of junky kind of guy with a big bushy mustache. People often said that he looked like a walrus that was squeezed into his Sunday clothes. Anyway, he had written one novel called The Study in Scarlet, which introduced to the world a detective named Sherlock Holmes. But he decided to follow that up with something totally different, which he was very proud of. It was a novel called Micah Clarke. Right. Crickets, huh? So this historical novel, entirely forgotten today, just sort of left him at this point about should I or should I not quit my day job, or should I just be a doctor? So he's heading off to this very fancy hotel. He arrives there. It's in this very posh, elegant dining room. He's meeting all of these other people. He's kind of quiet and kind of nervous. And all of a sudden, in walks Oscar Wilde. Now, Oscar Wilde at this time hadn't really published a lot, but he had taken the London society and the whole literary circle completely by storm, too. He could dazzle anyone. He could be in any situation, and he was always so funny, so outrageous, so provocative, so charming, comfortable in any situation, talking to anybody under the sun, it seemed. So here, Arthur Conan Doyle, his mood is just like plummeting right now. How do I stand a chance next to this or something like that? He is introduced to Oscar Wilde, and Oscar Wilde turns to him and says, "Arthur Conan Doyle, are you the author of Micah Clarke? I've just finished reading it. Everyone here, have you read Micah Clarke? Have you read Arthur's new novel? It is tremendous. Arthur, tell everyone, how did you do all of the research? It was so meticulous. I felt that I was there in that world. And the character of the princess, she was fascinating. Tell me more about her." And throughout the entire evening, whenever Arthur Conan Doyle started fading away just a little bit socially, Oscar Wilde always kept pulling him back. So then on his way home, Arthur Conan Doyle, later in his memoir, he remembered, "This was the golden evening of my life. I had only touched the edges of literary society in London before that, but because of this invitation, and really because of the way that Oscar Wilde included me, I felt that I might be able to amount to something as a writer." And guess what? J.M. Stoddard offered Arthur Conan Doyle a commission, and later that year, Lippincott magazine published The Sign of 4, which is the second Sherlock Holmes story. And it told the public that, of course, Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson could come back again and again and solve many mysteries. And it put Arthur Conan Doyle on the path to literary greatness, and he was able to quit his practice as a doctor and devote himself full-time to literature after that. And guess what? Oscar Wilde also got a commission, and the following year, Lippincott magazine published his only novel, The Picture of Dorian Gray.